Stop wasting time, focus on reality, presented by Boundless Books Audio. Introduction. Welcome to Boundless Books Audio, your sanctuary for powerful ideas, raw truths, and life-changing wisdom. Here, we don't sugarcoat reality, we embrace it. If you're tired of distractions, fake motivation, and endless excuses, you've come to the right place. Every audiobook on this channel is designed to help you break free from the illusions that hold you back and refocus your life around discipline, purpose, and relentless progress. In this audiobook, Stop Wasting Time, Focus on Reality, we're going to strip away the lies we tell ourselves. We're going to get brutally honest about time, purpose, and how you're either building your dream or wasting your life. No fluff. No filters. Just truth. Chapter 1, The Illusion of Importance. Imagine waking up one morning, checking your phone, and realizing you have 100 notifications from apps you barely use, emails marked urgent, messages demanding immediate responses, and social media notifications all screaming for your attention. You feel a rush of anxiety because somewhere along the way we've been convinced that responding to all this noise is essential. But is it? Most people go through life believing that being busy means being important, that every email needs a quick reply, every notification deserves a glance, and every social post needs acknowledgement. We live in a world where multitasking is glorified, but the truth is the busier we are, the less we actually accomplish. If we pause and reflect, it becomes clear that most of what consumes our energy has little to no real significance. Think of a time when you felt overwhelmed by a never-ending to-do list. Did you ever consider that half of those tasks could be crossed off without any impact on your life? We chase the illusion of importance, believing that everything matters equally, but here's a jarring thought: if everything matters, then nothing truly does. The fear of missing out drives us to engage in things that don't serve us, scrolling through feeds, watching highlights of other people's lives, responding to trivial messages. These become daily rituals. The fear of being left behind fuels our addiction to distractions. But in the end, are we really present in our own lives or just caught up in the chaos? Chapter 2, The Power of Elimination. Imagine you're carrying a massive backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents an obligation. Some are heavy and significant, like family responsibilities or your career. Others are small, like unnecessary meetings, social obligations, or self-imposed expectations. The problem is we rarely stop to empty this backpack. So we end up carrying all of it, believing every single rock is vital. When you realize that not everything deserves your attention, you gain a sense of control. The first step toward focusing on what matters is elimination. This means letting go of tasks, people, and habits that don't serve a meaningful purpose. It sounds harsh, but the reality is that life is too short to be weighed down by unnecessary burdens. Ever notice how decluttering your room or cleaning out your closet makes you feel lighter? The same principle applies to your mental and emotional space. Decluttering your mind can have a powerful impact, but it requires the courage to say no to activities that drain you, relationships that deplete you, and thoughts that trap you. But here's the kicker: eliminating distractions is not just about removing the negative, it's also about making space for what truly matters. When you clear out the noise, you create room for things that genuinely contribute to your growth, happiness, and peace. It's not about having an empty schedule, it's about filling it with purpose. Chapter 3, Identifying Your True Priorities. What if I told you that the things you consider your top priorities might not even be yours? Think about it. How much of what you do is influenced by societal expectations, family pressures for the desire to fit in? Many of us build our lives around borrowed goals, career paths chosen by parental influence, lifestyles shaped by societal standards, and dreams influenced by comparison. We often mistake what we should do for what we truly desire. The fear of disappointment keeps us on this path, the fear of letting others down, of not living up to expectations. But living for others is the fastest way to lose yourself. To identify your real priorities, you need brutal honesty. Ask yourself, if no one was watching, if no one could judge, what would you truly want to do? It's a terrifying question because it strips away every mask we wear. But it's also liberating because, for once, you get to decide what matters to you. Priorities aren't about fitting into the world's definition of success, they are about aligning your time, energy, and resources with what genuinely fulfills you. If success for you means creating meaningful art rather than climbing the corporate ladder, that's okay. If it means spending time with loved ones instead of hustling every weekend, that's valid. When you understand this, you stop chasing validation and start living a life that is authentically yours. As we move forward, we'll explore deeper into breaking down illusions and building a life that's genuinely meaningful. But before we do, think about this: if tomorrow you could only focus on 3 things, what would they be? Are they things that genuinely matter or just distractions disguised as duties? Chapter 4: The Noise versus the Signal. Imagine sitting in a room full of people talking loudly. You're trying to focus on a single conversation, but the constant noise keeps pulling your attention away. That's life for most of us, drowning in noise, searching for a signal. The noise is everything society tells you to care about: trends, gossip, fleeting opinions, surface-level desires. The signal is what truly matters: your values. Your deepest desires, your personal purpose. Every day we struggle to separate the two. We react impulsively, responding to notifications, feeling the need to reply to every message, and mindlessly scrolling through endless feeds. We mistake this constant engagement for productivity, but it's just distraction disguised as busyness. When was the last time you sat alone without any device, just thinking? When was the last time you intentionally decided what you would focus on, rather than reacting to what demanded your attention? The truth is, if we don't intentionally choose our focus, someone else will choose it for us. Companies spend billions to capture our attention, friends pull us into their drama, and expectations dictate our choices. But here's a bold thought: you don't have to answer every call, reply to every text, or react to every opinion. You have the right to choose your focus, to filter out the noise and tune into the signal. What if, instead of being a passive receiver of information, you became a conscious selector of what truly deserves your energy? What if you could reclaim your mind from the chaos and invest it where it genuinely counts? Chapter 5: The Cost of Distraction. Distraction is more than just a momentary loss of focus, it's a thief that steals your time, energy, and potential. Imagine spending years climbing a mountain only to realize it wasn't the one you wanted to conquer. Distraction can make that happen. We live in a world designed to pull us in 100 directions, each promising satisfaction but delivering emptiness. The average person spends nearly 7 hours a day in front of a screen. Think about that: almost a third of our waking hours lost to mindless scrolling, pointless debates, and curated lives of strangers. How much of your precious time is wasted on things that don't matter? How many hours could you reclaim if you learned to control your focus rather than letting it control you? Distractions are sneaky. They disguise themselves as productivity: checking emails, browsing news articles, replying to texts under the illusion of being on top of things. But are you truly on top of your life, or are you buried under an avalanche of unimportant information? The cost of distraction isn't just lost time, it's lost potential. Imagine the skills you could build, the relationships you could deepen, the peace you could find if you dedicated time to what genuinely matters. The harsh truth is, every minute spent distracted is a minute you can't get back. It's not just about avoiding distractions, it's about understanding their cost and choosing a more meaningful investment of your energy. Chapter 6: The Power of Intentional Living. Living intentionally means more than just setting goals, it means choosing how you show up each day. Imagine if every morning you asked yourself, what truly deserves my focus today? This simple question can transform your day from a series of reactive responses to a deliberate pursuit of what matters. Intentional living is the antidote to a distracted, chaotic life. It's deciding that your time, energy, and attention are too valuable to be wasted. Instead of living in default mode, reacting to whatever happens, you choose your path consciously. Instead of letting your phone dictate your mood, your notifications decide your schedule, and others' opinions shape your worth, you reclaim control. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Some days, distractions will win. You'll waste time, lose focus, and fall back into old patterns. But intentional living isn't about never getting distracted, it's about consistently returning to what matters. It's learning to forgive yourself for slipping and choosing again, choosing to focus on the signal, to prioritize purpose over noise, to create instead of consuming. Imagine the kind of life you could build if your actions were aligned with what you truly value. Imagine the freedom of knowing you are no longer a victim of distraction but a master of your attention. When you choose to live intentionally, you stop letting life happen to you, you happen to life. Chapter 7: The Trap of Comparisons. Imagine scrolling through your feed and seeing a friend's new promotion, a cousin's lavish vacation, or an influencer's perfect lifestyle. Without even realizing it, you start questioning your own life. Why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? Comparison is a silent thief, robbing you of joy and distorting your sense of what truly matters. The truth is, we rarely compare ourselves to those struggling or those facing challenges similar to ours. We compare ourselves to the best, the most successful, the most attractive, a highlight reel that doesn't show the hard days, the insecurities, the failures. The irony is that while we compare ourselves to others, they may be comparing themselves to someone else, feeling equally inadequate. Comparison can drive us to chase goals that aren't even ours, trying to prove our worth in a race that has no finish line. We lose sight of what truly matters because we're too busy measuring our lives by someone else's standards. What if, instead of comparing yourself to others, you compared yourself to the person you were yesterday? What if progress, not perfection, became the focus? Imagine the freedom of living without the weight of comparison. Pursuing your own dreams, following your own path, and defining success on your own terms. The moment you stop comparing and start appreciating your own journey, you reclaim your peace. You no longer strive to prove yourself to the world, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself for you. Chapter 8: Discomfort as a Compass. We've been conditioned to avoid discomfort. From childhood, we learn to seek comfort, to avoid pain, to escape. It's difficult to choose the easiest path, but what if discomfort wasn't something to avoid, but a signal guiding us toward growth? Think about a time you avoided a difficult conversation or procrastinated on a task that truly mattered. Avoiding discomfort feels good momentarily, but it often leads to regret, missed opportunities, and stagnation. The truth is, what we resist often holds the key to what we need most. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's a compass. It points you toward what needs attention, the conversations you need to have, the boundaries you need to set, the dreams you need to chase. Growth isn't meant to be comfortable. If you're constantly in a state of ease, you're likely not growing, you're just existing. Choosing to lean into discomfort means choosing a life of purpose over a life of comfort. It means doing the hard work of facing fears, tackling insecurities, and stepping outside of what feels safe. It means embracing temporary pain for long-term gain. If you want a life that genuinely matters, learn to see discomfort not as a threat but as an invitation, a call to become stronger, wiser, and more intentional. Chapter: The Myth of Balance. You've probably heard that a balanced life is the key to happiness, balancing work and play, ambition and rest, relationships and independence. But what if balance is just an illusion? What if constantly trying to balance everything is what keeps us from fully committing to anything? Balance implies that every area of your life deserves equal time and energy. But that's simply unrealistic. Some seasons of life demand intense focus on one area, a new career, a growing family, a personal passion. Other times, you may need to prioritize rest and recovery. The pursuit of balance often leaves us feeling guilty, as if we're failing to manage everything perfectly. Instead of striving for balance, what if you focused on presence? When you're working, work with intention. When you're resting, truly rest. When you're with loved ones, be fully present. The aim is not to balance every aspect of your life equally but to give each moment your full attention. Imagine a tightrope walker. They don't achieve balance by being static. They're constantly adjusting, shifting, recalibrating. Life works the same way. Trying to maintain a perfect balance is exhausting, but learning to adapt, adjust, and prioritize is powerful. Maybe the goal isn't balance, maybe it's presence, purpose, and priorities. Chapter 10: The Illusion of Control. Have you ever found yourself desperately trying to control every detail of your life, thinking that if you could just plan perfectly, nothing would go wrong? The reality is control is mostly an illusion. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, there will always be things beyond your reach. The weather changes, people change, circumstances change, and yet we exhaust ourselves trying to control it all. This need for control often comes from fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. We think that by controlling everything, we can protect ourselves from pain, but in reality, control doesn't prevent pain, it just creates anxiety. We end up worrying about every possible outcome, trying to prepare for every scenario, and still feeling powerless when things don't go as planned. What if, instead of trying to control everything, you focused on controlling yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your choices? You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control the future, but you can control how you prepare for it. Letting go of control isn't about giving up, it's about trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way. Imagine the relief of not needing to control everything. Imagine the peace of embracing uncertainty, knowing that no matter what happens, you can choose your response. Life becomes less about managing circumstances and more about managing your mind. Control what you can, accept what you can't, and learn to thrive in the uncertainty. Chapter 11: The Fear of Missing Out, FOMO. It's that nagging feeling that if you don't do something, see something, or experience something, you'll miss out. You see others living their best lives, and suddenly your own life feels less vibrant, less exciting. It's the fear that maybe you're not living fully or making the most of your time. But here's the irony: in trying to avoid missing out, we often miss out on what truly matters. We say yes to every invitation, every opportunity, every trend, not because we genuinely want to, but because we're afraid of being left behind. We end up exhausted, spread thin, and disconnected from ourselves. The truth is, you will miss out on things, and that's okay. Missing out is part of life because choices mean trade-offs. By choosing one path, you inevitably leave another behind. The goal isn't to do everything, it's to do what aligns with who you truly are. Imagine choosing experiences not out of fear but out of intention. Imagine feeling content with your choices because they genuinely reflect your values, not someone else's expectations. What if, instead of fearing what you might miss, you focused on what you're gaining by being present in the moment? What if you celebrated the life you are living instead of mourning the one you're not? Letting go of FOMO isn't about doing less. It's about living more intentionally. Chapter 12: The Weight of Expectations. From childhood, expectations shape us, from parents, teachers, friends, and society. They tell us what success looks like, what failure means, and who we should become. We carry these expectations like heavy luggage, dragging them along as we navigate life. The fear of disappointing others, the need for validation, the pressure to fit in, it all adds weight. But here's a truth we often overlook: expectations are not facts. Just because someone expects you to follow a certain path doesn't mean it's the right one for you. Yet many of us live our lives as if we owe it to others to fulfill their vision of us. We become doctors when we wanted to be artists, we stay in stable jobs we hate, we stay silent when we want to speak out, all because of expectations. Living for others' expectations means sacrificing your own desires, it means putting yourself second, burying your dreams, and living a life that doesn't feel like yours. Imagine just for a moment dropping that heavy luggage. Imagine making choices based on what genuinely matters to you, not what others think you should value. What if the only expectations you needed to meet were your own, not to be perfect, but to be true to yourself? What if instead of fearing judgment, you focused on living authentically, unapologetically? The moment you release the weight of expectations, you open the door to a life that feels like your own. Chapter 13: The Cost of People-Pleasing. Have you ever found yourself agreeing to plans you had no interest in just to avoid conflict or rejection? Have you ever said yes when you really wanted to say no because you feared disappointing someone? This is the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing, a habit that often masks itself as kindness but slowly drains your identity. People-pleasing isn't just about being nice, it's about seeking approval, validation, and acceptance from others at the cost of your own needs. You end up living a version of yourself that's curated to fit others' expectations, suppressing your true feelings to maintain harmony. But here's the harsh reality: the more you try to please everyone, the less authentic your relationships become. People may like you for who you pretend to be, not who you really are. The worst part: you start losing touch with your own desires, unsure of what genuinely matters to you. Imagine how liberating it would feel to finally prioritize yourself without guilt, to say no without over-explaining, to choose your needs without feeling selfish. True kindness doesn't come from sacrificing yourself, it comes from being honest and authentic. When you prioritize your own boundaries, you teach others to respect them too. It might disappoint some people, but those who genuinely care about you will value your honesty. Think about it: if you keep bending to please others, you'll snap eventually. Resentment builds when you ignore your needs for too long. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself, it's necessary. What if you began focusing on what genuinely aligns with your values instead of chasing the approval of others? What if you allowed yourself to exist fully without apology? When you stop pleasing everyone else, you start pleasing the most important person in your life, yourself. Chapter 14: Living for Milestones, Missing the Moments. We live in a culture obsessed with milestones: graduation, getting a high-paying job, buying a house, getting married, having kids. These milestones are treated like checkpoints that validate our success, proving we're on the right track. But what if the constant chase for these milestones makes us miss out on the moments that truly matter? Think about it: how many times have you worked tirelessly toward a goal, believing that once you achieve it, happiness will follow? Yet the moment you reach it, the satisfaction is temporary, fleeting like sand slipping through your fingers. You quickly move on to the next big milestone, hoping this one will finally be the key to lasting fulfillment. The cycle repeats, and real contentment seems always just out of reach. Living solely for milestones means living for the future, always waiting, always preparing, never fully present. You might miss the small beautiful moments that make up everyday life: the quiet coffee on a Sunday morning, the laughter with friends, the unexpected compliments, the moments of genuine connection. In the rush to arrive, you forget to live. Imagine shifting your focus from the grand milestones to the small moments. What if you saw value in the journey, not just the destination? What if you stopped measuring your worth by achievements and instead by how present you are in each moment? When you prioritize the present, you realize that life isn't a series of checkpoints, it's a collection of moments, each deserving your full attention. You stop living for someday and start living for today. Chapter 15: The Perfectionism Paradox. Perfectionism sounds admirable, doesn't it? The idea of setting high standards, pushing yourself to excel, striving for flawlessness. But perfectionism isn't about being your best, it's about fearing failure. It's a shield we use to protect ourselves from criticism, judgment, and rejection. The paradox is that while perfectionists aim to achieve greatness, they often end up paralyzed, unable to take risks for fear of making mistakes. When perfection becomes the standard, nothing ever feels good enough. You second-guess your decisions, overanalyze your choices, and hesitate to take action because the fear of failing is too overwhelming. Perfectionism convinces you that any mistake defines your worth, that any flaw is a reason to doubt yourself. It creates a constant, exhausting cycle of trying, failing, and feeling inadequate. Conclusion: as we've navigated through these chapters, it's clear that focusing on what truly matters is not just a choice. It's a responsibility we owe to ourselves. Life is a fleeting, unpredictable journey, and wasting it on meaningless distractions or societal expectations is a disservice to the person you're capable of becoming. Imagine the power of living with genuine purpose, of prioritizing what aligns with your heart and letting go of what drains your soul. What if, instead of just surviving, you started truly living? Thanks for listening to Boundless Books Audio, where knowledge fuels transformation. If you found this audiobook valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that helps you unlock your potential.